Welcome to this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind, produced by Souza Media, where we recap all the weekend's racing as part of the 75th anniversary season of the Action Track of the East. Okay, everyone, we've got a very busy edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast. Welcome back to the podcast series, and this episode is going to be packed with a variety of different things and a variety of different interviews and a variety of different updates on what's coming up here over the next couple of weeks at Seekonk Speedway. Before we get to what's coming up, if you missed this past weekend of racing, I apologize that you missed it. It was a phenomenal 2 nights of racing. Started it off with Fast Friday, had a great night there. Nice, clean, quick, efficient night. And then Saturday, man, one of the best NASCAR Saturday nights we've seen ever. Not even just this season, not even in the last 10 years, but ever. Literally one of the best Saturday nights that's gone on in the history, in the long 75-year history of Seekonk Speedway. So, want to start with Fast Friday. Took place, of course, on Friday night, August 6th. Then we're going to move into NASCAR Saturday. There's a lot of storylines from NASCAR Saturday. And the main gist of the podcast here is going to be NASCAR Saturday. Of course, we're going to talk about Fast Friday, fill you in on what's going on, who picked up feature wins last week. But the main gist of this is going to be Saturday for a variety of reasons. And our interviews will come from Saturday night this week as well, as we showcase what was a phenomenal night at the Third Mile, of course, on Saturday, August 7th. Let's start with Fast Friday, though. August the 6th. We're down to the final few weeks of the season here. Hard to believe it's gone by this quickly. After this past Friday, we've only got 6 weeks of racing left, starting this coming Friday night on August the 13th. So, let's run through the race recaps first. Picking up the win in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandoleros Outlaw. Well, let's start with the Bandits instead, the younger of the divisions at Seekonk. The Bandit winner was Sam Macedo, the kid with the green hair that matches his car. 4 wins in a row now for Sam Macedo, driving that familiar number 16. We mentioned a couple weeks ago was kind of off the pace to start the year, but man, as he picked it up, and they call him the Green Monster, the Mosquito, Macedo. There's a variety of nicknames for him. Whatever the case, very fast behind the wheel, and 4 wins in a row. Very impressive for him. Melania Shaloski was second, so close to that first Seekonk win for her. She's come close a couple times. She may get it here before the end of the year. And nice to see Ryan Vaness Jr. back on the podium. Ryan had a couple of tough weeks there in the middle of the season, specifically July 16th, a wreck, and last couple weeks he's been rebounding, returning to the podium with third this past Friday night. 4th place was Darren Krantz Jr. And if you remember back to the beginning of the year on the podcast, the first 3 races of the year were won by Darren Krantz Jr. He was the dominant car. There was nobody touching him. Since then, he's got a second, a second, a second, and a 4th. Not bad finishes at all. We're still talking top 5 runs. But when you see what that car has been able to do, what's wrong with Darren Krantz? It's shocking to me that he won the first 3 races and has not won since, and he's not really been a factor in the deciding of the victories. So that's something to monitor here as we go down the stretch run. However, as I mentioned, his worst finish is 4th so far this season, and with 7 races into the books, pretty good start to the year. 6 races remaining on Fast Friday. Krantz leads the championship by 28 over Ryan Vaness and Melania Shaloski. They were both tied for second. In the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandoleros Outlaws, it was win number 2 on the year for Joey LeMay. The Everett's Auto Parts number 8, strong run for him, dominated the feature race. Now that was a brand new car for Joey. A couple weeks ago they were involved in a pretty nasty wreck, and they went to work with a new ride. Roy Andreatt and Everett's Auto Parts team helping them out tremendously to get that new ride ready, prepared, and out on the track. And it was fast. Started right up at the front and led the race pretty much the whole distance, if not the whole distance, to take down his 2nd win of the year. Only driver to win more than once other than Nick Teto Jr. in that division now is Joey LeMay. So a nice run by him on Friday. Speaking of Nick Teto Jr., still charged up through the field. Had a great run behind the wheel of that number 00, and Nick Teto Jr. takes 2nd spot in the 15-lap feature. He was going into the race having won 3 in a row. So, 2nd for Chaber, nice run. 3rd place was Richie Helger Jr. in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment machine. And speaking of Richie Helger Jr., he leads the championship standings by 24 points over Jace Mungin. Brent Robideau is in 3rd spot, 6 weeks to go there as well. Robideau and Mungin 3rd and 2nd in the championship. Neither of them have won this year. but they've been consistent, and they may be a factor in the battle for the championship. It's going to take a little bit of a stumble from Helger, though, if they're going to be able to do it. In the Everts Auto Parts Sport 4s, it was 3 wins in a row for Tim Bolger Jr., driver the number 1. Very impressive there as well. 3 straight wins in any division is difficult to accomplish. Bolger able to get the job done, and while doing that, has closed the championship battle to a dead tie at the top of it. 312 points for Tim Bolger, 312 points for Crystal Murray. Those 2 drivers are tied in the championship. As far as the race goes, Mikey Lafort finished in the number 2 spot. That was his second consecutive second-place finish behind the wheel of the number 13. Third place, as one of our guests is calling me here in the middle of the edition, we'll get back to them in a few minutes. Third place was Henry Lavalle, who, man, haven't seen Henry Lavalle at the podium in a while, behind the wheel of the number 89. He led a lot of laps, and honestly, there was a late caution. If it wasn't for the late caution, I was pretty convinced that Henry Lavalle was going to get back to victory lane for what would have been his first win since 2013, though not able to do it. Third place for him on that late restart. Bolger and Lafort able to slide around. So, as I mentioned, Murray and Bolger tied at the top of the championship. That is going to be something to monitor. Also worth noting that Crystal Murray is planning on traveling outside of the area for school later in the year, so I'm not sure if she's going to be able to run the entire season. That's something we're going to have to monitor as it comes closer. Bolger leads Murray. They're tied, actually, with Murray by 24 back to Mike Lafort, who is in third. Of course, Lafort had that disqualification a couple of weeks ago, which hurt his point chances, but he's climbing back in the Sport 4s. Pure Stock Division, sponsored by Helger South Coast Power Equipment. On Friday, Greg Perry goes back to victory lane. Green to checkered, started on the pole, and led the whole thing right from the green to the checkered. His first win of the year for the former champion. He's been so consistent in the Pure Stocks this year. No victories, but if you look at his finishes, a third, a fourth, a third, a second, a first, and then he had a 38-point night on July 16th. And off the top of my head, I believe that's a 7th place finish. So 7th place and better for Greg Perry so far this year. Very happy, obviously, that he was able to get back to Everts Auto Parts victory lane. Second place, Curtis Rolando. Now, Curtis Rolando is a former late model competitor at the Oxford Plains Speedway and a former Seekonk Youth Racing Association winner at Seekonk back in the Mini Cup days. Running in the Pure Stocks this year, able to grab second. Jordan Threlfall was in third, his best career run in his early season success. Speaking of success, the championship standings, Greg Perry shows the way behind the wheel, the number number 0, only 1 0 on the car. Perry gets the job done on Friday, opens up his championship lead quietly, pretty much. I mentioned only 1 win. He's been kind of quiet this year, but he opens up the championship lead to 12 points over Joey Morissette, and Danny Massa, with 3 victories on the year, is 18 points back in third. Final feature on that Fast Friday was the next pit stop. Legend Cars, no surprise there. Luke LeBrun, looking for a nickname for him. It might be Dave Darling Jr. behind the wheel of the Nicholas Scola Racing 88. 6 points wins in 7 races for Luke LeBrun. He also picked up a non-points win on the Wednesday night Bay State Classic race, which was 1,000 to win. So LeBrun, total of 8 wins in 9 races. 6 out of 7. I messed that up, didn't I? 7 wins in 8 races overall. 7 out of 8 overall. 6 out of 7 in the points battles for Luke LeBrun. Jacob Rowdy Burns was second. Third place to Gio Ruggiero. Jake Johnson was fourth. And how about a shout out to little Pepe, Jake Sylvia, in fifth. Pepe returned on Saturday. Oh man, I forgot about that. Some of you out there know Pepe from back in the day. Yes, Pepe was back in the street stock. I'll get to that a little bit later. But Jake Sylvia, little Pepe they call him, in fifth in the Legend Cars. LeBrun, speaking of the championship, leads by 14 over Mason Tessier with 6 weeks to go. Those two are going to be most likely the two that decide it because of how far out front they are. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to start diving into that phenomenal Saturday night. We'll start with the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, the trucks, the late models, and a wild pro stock race. There's so much to dive into here coming up. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind, recapping the racing from Friday, August 6th, and now Saturday, August 7th. Coming up, NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Racing Series recaps from the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman, Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, Everett's Auto Parts Late Models, and the Pro Stocks. I want to mention Saturday was Helger's South Coast Power Equipment night at the track. A huge thanks to Rich Helger and their group for coming down and sponsoring the night and sponsoring the track in general over the course of the 2021 season. They have the latest and greatest in power equipment products, including lawnmowers, trimmers, blowers, anything you need they've got in Westport, Massachusetts. Give them a call at 774-264-9550. You can also visit them online at southcoastpowerequipment.com. Since it was Helger's night, let's start off with the Helger's South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman Division. An instant classic of a final 7 or so laps. Craig Bianca versus Chad Baxter for the race win. Now, you've been listening to the podcast all year. You're aware of what's going on. Chad Baxter's been no slouch behind the wheel of the Richard Sprague Prepared at number 0. 5 feature wins on the season for Baxter going into Saturday night. He didn't win this one, but dang did he try. Captain Fun is back on top. Craig Bianca picks up the win in a thrilling end to that race. Baxter was hammering on the back bumper of Bianca, trying to do everything he could to get by. Both of them sliding it out sideways, smoking the right rear. Street stock classic at Seekonk on Saturday night. Bianca wins it though. First of the year for him. Chad Baxter finishes second. Still a great run for your points leader. Steve Axon was third, having to come from the rear after winning earlier this season behind the wheel of the number 00. Actually, he had run the race before, so he had to start at the back. Comes up, nice solid third. Ed Perry fourth, and Corey Fanning fifth. These 5 guys, Bianca, Baxter, Axon, Perry, and Fanning, have been the top 5. They are the 5 best cars in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman. There's no doubting it. These guys are the real deal. And speaking of Baxter, he leads the championship by 28 points. That's 14 positions on the track. It's 2 points per spot. Baxter by 28 over Fanning. Ed Perry third. He is 32 points back. Bianca is fourth, but he is a ways back. It's going to be Baxter versus Fanning versus Ed Perry over the final 6 weeks for the championship battle in the Helger's Sportsman. Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks were next on deck. History in the making. All year long we've been waiting, and here it is. Some big history, and it's part 1 of 2 pieces of big history that happened on Saturday night. Amy Arsenault picks up her first career win in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, driving the number 9. Amy, a graduate of the Fast Friday Pure Stock Division, moves up into the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks this year. A little bit of a slow start, not really. For a rookie, Amy has been very, very, very impressive. I am very impressed with what she's been able to do this season. All of her finishes have come inside the top 6 positions on the track, and on Saturday, feature win behind the wheel of the Chaz Auto Body number 9. 1 finish outside the top 6, I believe. 50, 48, 46, 44, 42, 40. Never mind, she's finished top 6 in all of the race events, but bigger story is Saturday she went to Everett's Auto Parts Victory Lane for the first time in her Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks career. Second place, Brittany Campbell. And that was second place, a very historic moment. This was the first 1-2 finish by females in a NASCAR division in Seekonk Speedway history. Yeah, again, let me say that again. The first 1-2 finish by females in a NASCAR division at Seekonk Speedway. So a great run. Amy Arsenault wins it. Brittany Campbell second. Story of this one outside of that was Barry Shaw Jr., the points leader, and Mike Caballero tangling, racing up at the front late. Both of them relegated to the rear inside the final 10 laps. And in the end, Amy wins it over Brittany. Mike Duarte third, Rick Martin fourth, and Darrell Church was fifth. Point standings in the trucks, sponsored by Chaz Auto Body. Barry Shaw leads by 14 now. Lost some points there, only 14 points ahead of Radical Rick Martin with 6 races to go in the Chaz Auto Body Sport Truck. Speaking of a big night, this was huge. We're going to take a break, and we are going to welcome in our first 2 guests of this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind, Amy Arsenault and Brittany Campbell. That 1-2 finish, female finish for the first time, 1-2 in NASCAR action at Seekonk. Both of them are going to join us here around the turn. Stick with us. All right, welcome back from the break. I mentioned welcoming in our first guests, and I said that plurally, of the Race Day Rewind podcast here for this week. Unfortunately, Brittany Campbell is a very busy female between school and work. She's just informed me she doesn't think she's going to have quite enough time to join us here this week. We will get her, though, I promise, on another week of the Race Day Rewind. In the meantime, let's chat with the winner of the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks. Round number 1 for her in victory lane. Amy Arsenault is with us. And Amy, I checked out your Instagram page the other day. I really like how every week you're posting, hey, it was week 1, we finished here. Week 2, we finished here. Week 6, we finished here. How did that feel to get that post up to say, what was it, week 10, getting to victory lane for the first time?
Felt great. Really excited to win, obviously. Little fun fact, I actually went to college and have a bachelor's degree in social media marketing and public relations. So those are just fun posts for me to make and get to use some of my education. So I'm happy that Brittany's at school right now.
Yeah, Brittany's she's doing the right thing. She's definitely doing the right thing going to school. Again, we'll get her on another edition of the Race Day Rewind. Brittany's had quite the start to the season as well, much like Amy. Amy's third in the championship standings here as the season goes along. I mean, we talked probably 5-6 weeks ago, and you were at the point where you've got some top 5 finishes. You're feeling pretty good. But what's the emotion like? I mean, you were pretty much in tears taking the checkered flag at the start-finish line right after the race. So what was that night like for you? Just kind of relive it for us.
Definitely in tears taking the checkered. I get really emotional thinking about all of the hard work that my team and my dad and my family put into this, thinking about how proud my mom is and how she's always been one of my biggest supporters. And the post I made said, it really takes a village to get here, and it certainly does. I have so many great people behind me. So not just emotional for myself, but for, really making my family proud.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned some of those people. I know Jeff and Ronnie Pond kind of, I think they've put that truck together a couple times now here over the last couple of years, especially with COVID. But who are those people that are behind this effort? It does take a whole crew. I may have even seen Dad a little bit emotional, and I think that takes a lot for him to get to that point.
Oh, it does. But my dad is super emotional when it comes to me and my brother and my his granddaughters, my nieces. So, I mean, I could finish in the top 5 in a heat race, and I can tell he's getting, a little bit worked up. So that was exciting to see. Jeff and Ronnie Pons, I just cannot thank them enough. Ronnie and I go way back. He was actually my freshman shop teacher at Attleboro High.
Oh, wow.
So it's really nice to spend a lot of time with him. And after seeing all the success they've had with David Darling, I couldn't go without getting a win this year. I didn't want to be the one that had, the truck out there with the best crew chiefs and didn't get that win.
Wow. So there you go. Some history in the making here. Ronnie Pond was a shop teacher in his younger years. He's helped Dave Darling to now 7 titles. I know Big Jeff Bellier has jumped in there as well to probably help David to what's going to be an 8th championship here in a couple weeks. But, wow, Ronnie Pond, a shop teacher. So there's your fun fact for the week as part of the podcast. Amy, you look at the championship standings. After Barry Shaw's trouble, Rick Martin closed the gap to 14 at the top. We talked about that here in the last segment. You're only 34 points back in this championship battle. I know there's still 6 weeks to go. Have you looked at that? Have you thought about the position you're in here in your truck debut year?
I mean, going into the year, my biggest goal was Rookie of the Year. I've already, I guess I would say, succeeded in what I wanted to accomplish this year. I've been super consistent. My team has gotten me there every week. Try not to look at the points too much and just try to finish in the top 5 every week. I think the worst I've finished so far is 6th, and that's a huge win to me. I was very nervous going into the season. I was planning on starting last every week and just getting my feet wet. So this is a big change from where we thought we were going to be.
Wow, so she's not starting last. She's been starting wherever they put her in the lineup, and she's in Everett's Auto Parts victory lane for the first time. Amy, one more question for you. I know Brittany's not able to join us, but I think the both of you together, I don't know how good of friends you are off the track, but I know you guys are smiling down there at the podium after both finishing in the top 2. How great does that feel? You guys made history on Saturday night as the first 1-2 female finish in Seekonk Speedway history. And I know Rick Martin winning his 100th race was a big deal as well, but this was a historic night for you guys as well to accomplish that feat.
Yeah, that was really exciting. I don't know Brittany too well. I have hung out with her a couple times, but I can't speak for her, obviously, but I do want to say that it's important that everybody realizes that as females, I think there's a big stigma that we're up against each other, and it's not that way at all. I've been a huge Brittany Campbell fan since she got in that truck. I was there rooting when she won her first race, and I don't think she even knew who I was. So very important for people to realize that just because we're competitive and females, we're not up against each other, that we're cheering for each other every week.
Yeah, these two females have been very impressive. Of course, Amy's third in the championship. Brittany is fifth, but Brittany is only 6 points behind, actually 8 points behind Amy, so we'll watch those two battle. Maybe not for the championship title, but at least for a top 5 finish here and a strong run in the championship battle. Amy, congratulations. We appreciate a few minutes and wish you the best of luck here as the rest of the season comes along.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's been Amy Arsenault. Again, Brittany Campbell will be with us at some point this year in the Race Day Rewind. I promise that. We're going to take a quick break and get into that 100th win for Rick Martin coming up here in a few minutes. Welcome back to the show. 2 more feature races. Let's discuss the Everett Auto Parts late models in a clean and green race. Rather clean and green overall. Chase Belcher picks up his 2nd win of the year in the Everett Auto Parts number 35. A very impressive run for him. Behind the wheel, Richie Murray was 2nd and Josh Hedges able to finish in 3rd. Now, I mentioned earlier that Hedges is kind of lurking in this championship battle, and that's exactly what's going on. He's been 3rd most of the year, kind of just riding there, waiting. Man, what a run for Hedges this year in his return to Seekonk as a former truck champion. But in the championship battle, Jerry DeCaspari lost a lot of points on Saturday night. He spun out, had a mechanical issue with a spring, lost points. Vinny Renegado finished 4th, and Vinny leads Jerry by 18 points. That's 9 positions on the racetrack, 18 points with just a few weeks to go. 6 left. Hedges, as I mentioned, 3rd place, lurking in the championship battle. So it's Belcher winning it, Murray 2nd, Hedges 3rd, Renegado 4th, and Renegado leads by 18 over DeCaspari. It's only 2 more back to Hedges. That's going to be one of the tightest championship battles we have going down the wire. Now, the big time feature Saturday night. It was a historic moment in the trucks, no doubt about it. Very impressive. This one may have topped it, in my opinion. Definitely did top it. 100 times. Radical Rick Martin has parked his car in Victory Lane at Seekonk Speedway. Whether it's the trucks, the weight models, or the pro stocks, what a way to get number 100. Martin used the outside lane to pass a couple cars for the lead about halfway. Got out front, a late caution. He gets a bump from behind while leading, coming to the white flag. Tom Scully Jr. kicks him up the track. They drag race around the final third of a mile, and Martin wins it by pure inches. Phenomenal race. Another of those instant classics. Literally the best night I've seen on a NASCAR Saturday since I've been going to the track in probably 20 or so years. There's no doubting it was an impressive night overall, but an emotional night for Radical Rick picking up his 100th win, and an emotional night for all of us, really. We're waiting to see it happen. History in the making. By record, Rick Martin now only the 2nd driver to win 100 or more races. Only George Summers has done that with him. These 2 guys are historic. Martin adds his name to the historic list with number 100. Scully was 2nd. Dave Darling finished in 3rd. Yep, you know that guy, Dave Darling, by now. The emotion of this, phenomenal. The moment itself, amazing. The finish, epic. Everything about this Saturday night's Pro Stock feature was incredible. There's no other way to say it. Congratulations to Rick Martin. Number 100 for the season. I believe that is his 3rd on the season, maybe 4th. I'd have to go back and look. He's got at least 2 in the trucks and at least 2 in the pro stocks now. So 4, maybe 1 or 2 more, I'm not sure, but at least 4 wins coming this year. And number 100, big number. Check out our Facebook page. Scroll back and see the finish, which has been posted. The content in general that was posted from Saturday night on the track after the race, in the stands while it was finishing. See the fans jump up and down at that historic moment. Very impressive, very historic, very incredible, in my opinion. One of the top moments ever at Seekonk Speedway. So, Martin wins it, Scully 2nd, Darling 3rd, Ryan Kuhn 4th, Mike Brightman was 5th in the race. Darling leads the championship standings by 32 over Ryan Kuhn. Martin is 3rd, 44 back. There were only 5 races left in the Pro Stocks. I know I've been saying 6 everywhere else, but there's only 5 championship races left in the Pro Stocks. Their DAV is not a points race, it's a pass race with the Pro All-Star Series. So Pro Stocks end their points battle in September. So Darling, by 32, he's in chase of that 8th historic championship. Looking pretty dang good, now isn't it, for him to do it. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with another segment here on the Race Day Rewind as we begin to wrap up this week's edition. Rick Martin, 100 wins. All right, welcome back from the break. We just talked about that historic night. And without further ado, I want to welcome in Rick Martin. He took a lot of time after the race was over to chat with Nick Teto of YankeeRacer.com. Nick is our official videographer at the Speedway. Want to thank him for sending us this interview and allowing us to use the audio right here in the podcast. I know Rick is a busy guy. He took a lot of time after the race to chat with Nick about his career, about his 100th win, what the night meant to him, and a bunch of other different things as well. So want to run that audio here as part of the Race Day Rewind podcast to have you listen in to see what happens over the course of the 2021 season for him. 100 career wins. Let's hear from the Radical one right here on the Race Day Rewind podcast. Again, audio credit to Yankee Racer.
Radical Rick Martin, win number 100 at Seekonk Speedway. You've had a heck of a career here for so many years, championships, win after win, and what's the emotion on getting 100 wins here?
Oh, this is special, just seeing fans that's been here for 40 years come up to me and all the different people coming out and stuff. That's why we do this, is for the fans. I mean, there was kids that I got pictures 40 years ago and they were this big, now they're 6 footers, you know. I've been watching you for this long, and, and that's why we do it, you know, for the fans.
Now, this race, did you sense the outside was where you were going to have a shot because Reitman was protecting the bottom so well and you just kind of go where he wasn't?
Yeah, well, the car just felt like it wanted to go, and I was down there in the bottom, and I said, I'm going to try it on the outside. They say there's no outside lane here, but if you want to work hard enough, it's up there.
Definitely. How close was the battle with Scully on the restart with like 2 laps left? You got all kinds of loose. I think it was going into the last lap.
Yeah, last lap there. After that restart there, 30 laps, my bleeders bled off, and the right front tire felt like it was half flat, so I really had to slow it up in the corner, and he got into me. I mean, not his fault, I was on the brake, but he got into me the way he got underneath me, and he was there, so I had to race him on the outside, and I think it was 1/1600th of a second or something.
Yeah, it was a photo finish, so that if you're going to win it, that's quite the way to do it.
If I didn't have to, if he came up any higher, bring me up, because I was going to have the nose in front of him.
Well, glad all those years ago he widened it, because you needed all of it today.
Yeah, well, when I started, it wasn't that wide, and I used to hit the wall every time on the straightaway, and they always told me if they ever made this track wider, you'd be good here. So I think I was practicing for this track before they even made it.
May 12th, 1979, your first win here, a 25-lap late model race with the 14 car. Do you remember anything from that night?
Oh, I remember the whole thing. You know, coming over the line with my hand out to win the first win. You know. Started off, I got my first sponsor, Family Auto, a couple weeks before that. She come up to me, give me a check, said, this is a sponsor. I said, well, what's that? You know, I didn't even know what a sponsor was back then. Nobody really had sponsors. So I said, put my name on the car and I give you $100 check. I'm like, sure, you know. So, you know, that's where people start helping you. You got to go out there and show it's, you know, you got to do your job. That's what you got to do, you know. So over the years, I've been lucky to have so many people behind me, from Lopes to JR, from JR's Fast Lane, and I mean, Richie's and Insulation and Auto Cosmetics. And, I mean, these guys keep me going. Right when things are tough, you know, the car's down, these guys all step up and keep me going out here. I'm ready to quit, but they, you know, they don't want me to. So.
Yeah, and there's a quote attributed to George Washington, essentially talking about the importance of the character of the people around you.
Yeah.
And you've had some great car owners besides, let's see, Ray Manfredo, G. Lopes, of course, had a great run. Wayne Nunes, you got him a win in 2006. But most of those wins, it's your own car. So what does that say about it? All those years, it's been your team, your car, that's got most of these wins.
Yeah, well, I'm saying maybe I should have drove somebody else's car years ago, because these cars are getting expensive now. That's, I mean, basically the reason I'm not looking to hang it up, but maybe slow a little down next year, because it gets awful expensive when you try to do it on your own. I mean, I don't have the money to compete with somebody what these guys have. It's, you know, years ago they were easy. It's $4,000 or $5,000, you built a car. Now they're $10,000 transmissions in these cars, so it's getting a little expensive.
I mean, just so many recollections, even just myself watching you run this place for what feels like my whole life, and that doesn't even encapsulate part of your career here. But you guys had the blue and yellow car, and you guys would run that paint scheme for a good stretch in the 90s. You had 94 HJY in the 94 car for 1 year. Most of those years it was the 14.
Yeah.
You guys get running with G-Lopes. You have 2 team cars here. You did even just that 90s decade was just a phenomenal run here for you.
Yeah, that was probably the best part of my life back then, running with the Lopes there with my girl and my mom. And, you know, I mean, this one was for my mom. I was determined today. Today is 10 years she passed away, so you know, I was doing this for her. Like I was saying over there, when I started here, I was 6 months old in the stands over here, and I grew up watching my dad struggle out there racing against Ronnie Bouchard's and Summers with all the equipment. And he never took a cent off the table. Ran junkyard parts, and he won 1 win. And I mean, when I looked at my mother's eyes, seeing how proud she was and how proud he was, I'm like, you know, when I grow up, that's what I got to do. You know, make Mom proud. So, hope you're proud. 100.
Definitely. But I mean, there's so many people that have been a part of this track, like yourself, Johnny Mercury, you name it. Just people have been here for so many years, a dedication to this racetrack. So, what does that just say to you? Like, the Seekonk family has always been here for all these years.
It's a family, and like when I grew up, it was with, like I said, the Bouchards, the Murrays, the Estelles there, and them guys, they were legends to me. You know, Lenny Boulder and all them guys, Bugsy, they've helped me along the way. So, kind of now I feel like it's give back to help some of the other kids. You know, I worked like last year working on pure stock motors for these guys, and I can save these guys probably 2 years of blowing stuff up just in some knowledge that I had when I blew stuff up, you know. So, gotta give back. They gave to me, but it's all a big family. I mean, a diseased family. You know?
Well, there's no cure for it, so it's okay.
No, there's no cure for it. I never even wanted to race. I just wanted to try it. Me and D. Gastel got a $30 car, went out here.
And then beyond that, you've got 2 championships at Thompson Speedway, about 16 wins there, a couple of wins at White Mountain, and a win at Groveton, New Hampshire. So
I'm glad you've been counting them, because I really lost count of them, and you started saying in the 90s there, trying to tie George there. I mean, just being named in the same sentence as George Summers, I think I'd just rather stay at 100 just to say me and him have 100, you know?
Yeah.
Those are my heroes when growing up. Now I look at these little kids, and I'm their hero, you know? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's just cool how you guys have tight racing here, but like you said, a lot of it's family, you know, whether it be just going back, it was Norm Holden or yourself or Bugsy when you were in the Pro Stocks. You name it, there's just countless names, the Scullys. I mean, these guys just go, you know, a decade or 2 decades. It's just, there's such a great group of competitors here through the years.
It's family. Like my mother and father's first date were here. You know, I mean, it's something for the family to do. And I mean, the guys we race with, we get an argument over with them here, but then I'd be stuck down the road and be the first one to pull over, see if you needed a hand. You know, I mean, we get aggravated. We don't have a good night. There's one guy's going to win, and the rest of the people that want, you know, going to be aggravated. But all family when it comes down to it.
Yeah. As far as the sentiment tonight, the popular win is probably just the obvious thing to call this, but did you expect that kind of reception where you have people that, you know, the Perry family, another example, that they're your first sponsor, they're here for it. I mean, just you name it, people who have watched you for 20 years race, everybody was here.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect that. I mean, there was a few guys on the crew that had been sick and they didn't come out, but they're like, oh, I got to get there just in case he wins his 100. And to see the amount of people that came out, just, oh, I didn't want to miss this. I knew you were going to win. I'm like, I'm glad you did. I didn't really know I was going to win, but it was good to see a lot of people come out like that. That's what it's all about. The support I've had over the years with the fans. I mean, I got the best fans. It's good to see after the race, nobody left. You know, they stayed there. I mean, usually they're leaving halfway through the race.
Yeah, the affiliation with you has been Pro Stocks for so many years. Yeah. What is it about those cars that you've just flourished in for so many years?
Actually, I wish I would have ran the modifieds for myself, but I just put a lot of dedication to these things. I mean, we're not a big dollar team, so we're gonna try harder. You know, we're in the garage. I won at the trucks last week, and midnight I'm back at the shop in the garage with the cars loaded up in the garage working on them again. I'm like, you know, most people be out getting drunk because they want. You know, I go home tonight and load this, be checking my tire temperatures and pressures, and you know. You know, when you don't have the resources, you got to work a little harder. But getting a little old, it's getting tough to put that kind of work in. These guys take a lot of work if you want to run up front, or a lot of money.
And on the truck, you've got I think 3 wins this year with that. But getting to win with 2 different vehicles is quite a task in itself. So just how important is that to be able to do that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of, after I've been around so much, I didn't drive them, I kind of feel what's wrong with them, you know? I'm good at picking up what's wrong with stuff. I mean, I've broken so much stuff in my days that I know what it's like when something's broke. So, you know, maybe again, we still got a problem with the carburetor, problem with the brakes. So last week it was the steering. We get it all worked out, it'll be good.
I think you guys were trying to sell the first truck. Is that what ended up getting this change happen?
He's basically, the other guy's moving to Florida. He's there for the winter. He's up here for the summer, but he's selling his house, moving everything out. So he needed to get it sold. I told him that last week. I said, well, now would be the time to put a for sale sign on it. And we went out and won that night. So somebody made him an offer, and Darryl Dutch ended up buying it. So I think he's here this week, or he's going to be here next week. He's here.
But you won a championship in them, and you won for a stretch there. That was, at the time, you were, you know, every week a threat to win, if not winning. Yeah. So that was when you did dedicate a full-time effort to that division, that was pretty cool to watch too.
Yeah, well, the trucks are fun because it's not really about horsepower or nothing. It's the tires are so small. You got to drive the thing. If you overdrive it, you're going backwards. You know, once you get them tires hot, it's like you're in the rain. So I enjoy the trucks.
And any people or sponsors to thank for tonight's victory?
Yeah, it's like Auto Cosmetics, and he's right there helping me on whatever it needs. I mean, he'll take care of it. Richie's Insulation. I mean, he come on this year with the truck and the Pro Stock and helped me get going. And Quality Rentals, the Shine Shop, Hathaway Collision. I mean, he painted this thing 3 years ago, and I haven't painted a part on this car. The paint is unbelievable. Just, you know, the whole crew, everybody that helps. Whatever I need, the guys will be there to do it. If I told them I need them all at the garage tonight, they're there, you know. So that's what it takes. You got to have a good crew behind you. You can't do it yourself.
And getting to watch your dad, and you mentioned so many of those legends at the time growing up. What were some of the, you know, maybe not looking at this at that point, but what were some of the lessons you learned just watching some great drivers, you know, as kind of your studies growing up?
Well, watch and listen, you know, and I mean, a lot of guys, I mean, George Murray gave me a set of pistons once. Bugsy Stevens took me out in the back of his junkyard, showed me what a Panhard bar was. I didn't even know what that was, you know, what it adjusts the car. You know, Jim Wilkins told me about some front end geometry, you know, just try to suck all that knowledge in. I was lucky enough to be racing with them guys at the time, and, you know, the young punk over there, like some of the guys now, so. Like I said, that's why I feel like I need to head back a little bit. I help guys out that I'm racing against, you know. I mean, when I used to race with Vinny, he would let me use his backup car to race him against a championship if I needed it, you know. I mean, that's real races, you know. Guys like the competition, you know. That's why we're here, for the competition, you know.
All right, welcome back to the final segment of this weekend's Race Day Rewind Report. Want to mention on Sunday, August 8th, we had the monster trucks in town. Thanks to everybody that came out. Thanks to the group that put that on. A phenomenal show in the monster trucks. What a weekend, man. Triple header weekend. The Fast Friday, the NASCAR Saturday, the monster trucks on Sunday. Heck of a weekend to be a Seekonk Speedway fan. Nobody, I don't think anybody out there is disappointed after what they saw. Let's do it all again this coming weekend, shall we? No Sunday this week, but we got 2 nights of racing action coming at you, hot and heavy. Friday night, August 13th, Fast Friday is back on hand. Seekonk Grand Prix and the Bandoleros Bandits and Outlaws, the Helgers South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, the Everett's Auto Parts 4-4s, and the Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars are all in action on Fast Friday. Tickets are available online, seekonktickets.net. They are also available at the gate on race day, just $10 for adults on a Friday. Kids 12 and under are free. Saturday's a big night for you race fans. It's Fan Appreciation Night. A thanks to you for supporting the track this year. All of it on Saturday is sponsored by Everett's Auto Parts. The latest and greatest in your junk car parts are located out in Brockton, Mass. You can check out Everett's Auto Parts online. They are sponsoring Everett's Auto Parts Night at the races, Fan Appreciation Night, and 2 big things. Actually, 3 big things. First, every fan that buys a front grandstand ticket gets a free hot dog and a Pepsi. What could be wrong about that? Free hot dog and Pepsi. That's pretty cool. Thanks to Everett's for that. The fan pit party returns, the only one of the year, so don't miss it. The only pit party of the season is back Saturday, August 14th. 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. is going to be the pit party. And usually the pit party is on the track. Not this year. It's going to be right in the pits So you'll be able to go from the grandstands right into the pits on Saturday from 4:30 to 5:30 and meet the stars and cars of Seekonk Speedway up close and personal. So the fan pit party is literally in the pits. And then in the intermission between heats and features, we have a very special night for Fans on Parade. Now this is the night where you make your signs, your costumes, your feet, whatever. I've seen people paint their toenails with a car number on it. I've seen people paint their nails. I've seen people wear Halloween costumes. Whatever you want to do it. It's Fans on Parade night. You'll be able to walk the track in the middle of the night and check out the Speedway and also support your favorite driver. So, a huge night coming up again on a Saturday. Now, again, Fast Friday on Friday, NASCAR Saturday on Saturday. An amazing night overall as the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series is back on hand this weekend, Fast Friday as well. Big congratulations to all of our feature winners. Let's run through them one more time from last week. In the Bandolero Bandits, Sam Macedo. In the Outlaws, it was Joey LeMay. In the Sport Fours, Tim Bolger. In the Pure Stocks, Greg Perry. And in the Legends, Luke LeBrun. On NASCAR Saturday, Craig Bianca. In the Sportsman, Amy Arsenault. In the Sport Trucks, Vinny Arenagato was 4th in the late model race. He didn't win this week. In the late models, it was Chase Belcher. And in the Pro Stocks, no, it wasn't Dave Darling. Shocker, I know. It was Rick Martin to score his 100th career win. Thanks to our guests for jumping on board in this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. Thank you to the Monster Trucks again for Sunday for bringing us some great entertainment. Our Saturday and Friday program and a full triple header is in the books. Coming up, Fast Friday, August 13th, Fan Appreciation Night, sponsored by Everett's Auto Parts on August 14th. And then we got 2 more nights on August 20th and 21st, sponsored by Phil's Propane. And we'll wrap the month of August on the 27th to 28th again. For now, so long, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to what's been rated the #2 short track podcast on Buzzsprout. My name is Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media. I don't know if I said that in this edition, but you know me by now. Thanks to Ed St. Germain for pushing the buttons behind the scene and getting it all together. For now, so long. We'll see you at the track again real soon.